shaping up, then check.
Hello everybody, and of course welcome to the ESPL Weekly Series number 8. We are all the way into the semifinals. Team Druckwelle and Mongolz, both of them staying in that top 6 after this and everything's said and done. I am of course your caster Briefcase, and along with me for this ride, this early morning for me, is Mito.
Yeah, what's up guys? It's been great. Finally we're in Weekly Series number 8. And wow, we're already in the semifinals, and these are two teams that we've seen regularly in the past couple of weeks, Mongolz as well as Druckwelle. So these are some of the very consistent teams, and I'm just looking at Masquerade's picture, and that's a hero that I hope that he'll be using.
Radiant team pick.
Who's Masquerade's picture? I'm just changing a little thing that needs a change. What's up?
It's a
What
picture
did I
of
miss?
Tinker.
Where is he?
It's
Oh
a picture
yeah.
of Tinker.
Oh, of course,
And
of
look
course.
at that, I'm like, please.
Oh yeah, hard to say. So recently, I mean, I don't know about you, Bincho, but I have just personally in this last week completely fallen off of any pro Dota. I've basically just been holed up in my own little world, having to deal with a bunch of little things. And is there anything you can tell me about kind of a recent trend that's going on? Because Dazzle's making an appearance right off the bat, but it just looks to me like some kind of pretty standard bans at the very least coming out of both teams right now, and especially Invoker, that hero just seems to get banned out every single time now.
Yeah, I've been pretty busy this week, but it feels like the pro scene has been as well. Like, I think this is the transitional phase where people are preparing for big tournaments. WPC Ace is starting soon, and there are just so many major events coming up, and I feel like perhaps this week is one of those weeks where it feels kind of slightly dimmed down a little, perhaps. But I haven't been paying that close attention to all the professional games either, so it'd be interesting to see how Druckwelle and Mongolz react to it. Like, I don't know what they're gonna be playing this time. And it seems like they don't really care about the Lycan. That's a hero that's been so strong recently, as of late, and it feels like there's like no stopping the push. Simply just no answers to the hero.
I mean, obviously probably not as strong as Lycan of the past when he was just ported in, but no, I'm picking up what you're putting down, and it's definitely one of those situations that I think that most people and can feel this in a lot of pub games is, whenever you're playing against some pubs who they pick Lycan and they just start rat doting you, it is a really rough time, and it almost feels like you can't do much, and it really does hurt those spirits. And boom, there's that hero you mentioned, and a lot of physical damage coming out of Druckwelle right now. And I mean, Bristleback obviously, a hero well positioned to take that damage, being all physical, what have you, but I mean, nonetheless, Dazzle's physical along with Lycan, and just the amount of insane negative armor that usually comes with that is, I think, going to be a pretty big problem for the Mongolz right now.
5 seconds.
Oh yeah, Druckwelle, seeing that they love that hero, Nature's Prophet, so much, and it works in conjunction with Lycanthrope perfectly. I believe we'll be seeing that combination. It's just so strong. You can split push, you can group up and push, and the overall team fights, because the Treants, even the Treants benefit from how. Can you imagine how ridiculous it would be once Broodmother gets released into Captain's mode, and you just have a Lycan along with a Broodmother in the off lane? As long as you survive the early game phase, once you get into the mid game, you have those Spiderlings all benefiting from How and just doing an insane amount of damage to towers.
See, for me, Broodmother is one of those heroes that basically is always going to need some sort of massive rework before she ever gets introduced into Captain's mode. I just feel like she still brings almost nothing to the table with if you have obviously, oh, what am I going for? If you have pros that know what they're doing and know how to ward and what have you, it just seems like Broodmother will just not be able to do too much by any means. Might be an annoyance, but she's just one of those heroes that I don't think is quite done yet.
Ah, okay. So Druckwelle, what they're going for is a tri-lane with Bane Elemental, Lycan, and Dazzle. It's something that I've seen pretty common, pretty regularly as of late. It's like you sleep, you nightmare the opponent, and then you do a surround with all 5 of your units. Lycan, 2 Wolves,
10
Bane
seconds
Elemental, and
remaining.
Dazzle, and you go for that heal. And it just does
5 seconds remaining.
insane amount of damage. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, here's hoping that we can see it. And
Time.
while we're talking about Broodmother, Earthshaker, a very easy counter to that hero and just a big pickup. If you ever see her with her spiders and you happen to have a blink and she doesn't see you, whew, that's going to be some juicy money every single time with those money bugs. But, I mean, what do you think the Mongolz can really pick up right now? Like you said, it feels a lot of the time like there's almost no answer to Lycan. Team Druckwelle looks like they're still holding out for exactly who is going to be their last carry or mid, or at the very least really strong core hero. And I'm just not too sure who the Mongols are thinking about right now to deal with these people. Obviously, since Bane's on the field, Lifestealer, you don't really want to go for him too much. And yeah, what thoughts at all?
There's one very clear hero that they should be getting, and I'm thinking about a Nax. Well, I don't think that's gonna happen anymore because Nax. Sure, later on when Lycan has the Necrobooks, it might be a little bit harder to deal with it. But your Culling Blade, it goes through the Shallow Grave, and the more units, the better. The more he's gonna spin. And the alternative that I was thinking of was a Sven. But I don't think either one's gonna happen because you have a Nature's Prophet who's most likely gonna be in the off lane, or it might be a mid Nature's Prophet. But regardless, it just feels like Mongolz already have the tri-lane set out, which is gonna be like Earthshaker, Visage, and BB with a Nature's Prophet off lane. But at the same time, they could play around with it and have Earthshaker do the off lane block, or even the mid block, and pull the creep wave into the Ancient Camp or the Radiant Lodge Camp. So there are a lot of things they can do, but
Dire team pick.
it feels like Mongol's lineup. I don't think they would be going for those funny stuff, and it's just gonna be a solid tri-lane with a very solid off-lane heroes, Nature's Prophet.
Oh yeah, I mean, so, I mean, at this moment, I'm just not too sure exactly who these last pickups are gonna be. Both teams already looking pretty well-rounded, at least as far as I can see, and in at least what their objectives are. Maybe not so much in their last or late game potential and what have you, but as far as it looks like what they want to do in a game, Team Druckwelle obviously going to be wanting to take some nice towers into that mid game and probably group up and make something happen along with that Dazzle ult and Nyx Assassin. You can definitely find some big pickoffs in that way as well. And I think this last pickup for Druckwelle really solidify whether or not they're going to go more ganking and kind of control the map, figure out where everybody is, and get some nice vision down, or if they're going to go straight up team fight into the mid game. But I don't know, I guess we'll just have to see.
It should be a mid-solo hero for Team Druckwelle right now. They have the offlane Nyx Assassin, and they already completed the trial lane as well, so... Oh, so we have a Queen of Pain. And the Mongols, they will be looking up for a mid-solo of their own. I think Dragon Knight's a pretty good choice. It's a fairly tanky mid. Queen of Pain with the increase to Shadow... What's it?
Shadow Strike?
Poison... yeah, Shadow Strike, there we go. Oh man, I'm losing my words. I haven't seen Queen of Pain in so long. That's already like kind of forgetting what the skills are called. Oh, and we have a Tiny. Oh, this comes as a bit of a surprise. So I'm gonna see a mid-solo Nature's Prophet. Is it gonna be a mid-solo Tiny? I love mid-solo Tiny. It's so good at stacking.
For me, mid-solo Tiny
You did
always feels like such a chance, but one that I love to see, because for some of those heroes, and Queen of Pain is one of those where they actually don't start with too much HP. Tiny can kind of come out of nowhere with a big round of burst, and any single time you think you might have the advantage, you can just take it all away.
Yeah, but at the same time, Tiny does start out with 0 armor. And it's gonna be a pretty difficult struggle for Tiny at mid, unless he goes for stacking, which is like, you do the same way that people play SF. You push out the lane, and then you just go in the jungle. Either you farm it up directly, or you can stack it and take it in one go. But either way, Tiny should be able to rise, what, 11 minute, 12 minute Blink Dagger plus Arcane Boots, if that's how he wants. Or if you want to go for the mobility build, that's great as well. But in this scenario, I would say they need a proper initiator, and I think this is the perfect ideal chance if that Tiny is going for that instant blink.
And right
But
off
no,
the
it's
bat,
gonna be a tiny carry.
oh, is it? Oh, wow. I did not see this coming at all. We are just fixating on him going mid, but tiny carry, I am down. Happy to see it go, and they actually do have quite a bit of nice little anti-push, it looks like, and just the fact that tiny can be a huge nuisance, even for somebody like a Lycan, where, I mean, if he is a giant wolf, doesn't really matter. You just toss him way back, and that's going to eat up a lot of his duration on that ult, but nonetheless, it's getting who is playing who. Over here on the Mongolz, we have Player playing as Tiny, Huntsman MGL as this Visage backing him up. Along with that is this already smoked up Earthshaker being played by Storm. Over in the mid, we're going to have Sonke as the Nature's Prophet, and up top as the solo offlane, we're going to have Masquerade. Over here on Team Druckwelle, looks like they're just going to get these Trents at least a little bit of extra gold going their way. 14 for Corrin, not bad. Corrin going to be playing this Lycan. Vacan as the Nyx Assassin. Dworkit Baby, possibly my favorite player on the team, playing as the Dazzle. Looks like we have Miffy, because I'm sure I screwed that up at least one point in the past with Majiffy and what have you. It's going to be playing that Bane, and then over here in the mid, I assume, going to be Cube on the Queen of Pain.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a Nature's Prophet versus Queen of Pain. Nature's Prophet used to be really bugged in Dota 1 because you can sprout the tree ants, you can sprout your creeps, and then they just won't move afterwards. The Nature's Prophet used to be a fairly solid mid solo, and it's okay against the Queen of Pain because you can always use the tree ants to harass, and he does have really nice animation and starting damage. So that's something to look forward to. Whereas Masquerade, this should be a pretty okay lane for him to be in until about the trial lane gets to level 3. And it's unfortunate they didn't get a very good block, which means like they can't really zone out Masquerade all that easily. And he's just farming up so far up there. And regarding Tiny, I felt like Sven would have been a better choice because Sven, like, it's not only, you don't only benefit yourself, but with the Warcry you benefit your entire team as well. Everyone can benefit from having some movement speed and 14 armor, and the cooldown is only what, 7 seconds if you take away the duration. So I feel it's a great skill.
Man,
down at
Huntsman
bottom,
on the
like,
bot, he's just getting destroyed. Spike Carapace just in time, gets the stun on 2, but Huntsman just trying to go tit for tat with Vacan, and that poor man shield doing an obscene amount of work and just right clicking each other. But man, Vacan coming out way ahead in that one, is very low on regen, however, and I suppose when everything's said and done, Huntsman, it's exactly what he wanted to do, is just take care of that regen, make sure that Vacan can't be anywhere near the rest of his team on this bottom lane.
Oh yeah, in that mid, it feels like 2 heroes. So far it's been a fairly even trade. But eventually I have to slightly favor the Queen of Pain. Just the power of the screen. But it feels like, look at Cube, he's going for 2 level into Dagger. He's not so worried about pushing out the creep wave and whatnot. And did you know that the overall damage of, say, your level 5 Queen of Pain, 2 levels into Scream with 2 levels of Shadow Strike does the exact amount of magical damage as having 1 level into Shadow Strike and 3 levels into Scream. But the fact that you're going 2 levels into Shadow Strike means you want to rely a lot more on those right clicks, because the damage over time increases, the slow increases, the strike damage increases as well as the cooldown. So it just means that Queen of Pain Cube wants to trade a lot more in terms of right click power.
And I mean, Sonke now playing this very nicely. He's just going in with the Trents whenever he wants, going in, taking this hard camp, trying to kill it before, or at the very least, maybe get it to stack. Doesn't look like it's going to pan out, however, and still though, nice little play, something that you don't see too often in pubs, and just making sure that he doesn't get harassed down significantly in the mid like you just mentioned.
Yep, so far, for the past 3 minutes, everyone's just getting the levels and getting a decent amount of fun. Masquerade, I feel, is getting the better end of the trade.
I think there's going to be engagement up top. Miffy, there is it! And this is exactly what you mentioned. Everybody surround. Nice little shadow wave. Don't know if it's going to be enough, but Dworkit Baby with some beautiful body blocks, eating a lot of quills, however, and actually almost falling to them with 4 stacks. That is just too much damage for a small little support to take, especially this early on.
Yeah, it feels like the Mongolz, they're utilizing the supports a little bit better. The supports are getting a little bit more golden XP. Like Hunter is He's already level 3, and Storm is 2.5. Whereas, if you look, Rocket Baby, he was just level 1 just now, like trying to zone out the Masquerade. And that's why he took so much damage, because he was a level 1 hero. And he, like, look at his HP, even when he's on level 2. It's below 500. And that's why with a couple of Quill Sprays, he just has to go back. He can't afford to continue trying to zone out Masquerade.
Oh yeah, but I mean, as far as how these lanes are concerned, really not too much action. Like you said though, the Mongolz seem to be getting a little bit more out of the map in its entirety, simply because those supports are doing a little bit better. And even that, the off lane, you have Masquerade doing quite a bit better than Vacant at the moment. He's a full level ahead. Does he still have regen? I feel like he does. He's got a little bit of regen still at the very least. And of course, if you Bristleback, you maybe feel quite a bit safer than a Nyx Assassin. So overall, I think things still just fairly even, not too much happening, and really only 4 heroes on the whole board who have any semblance of some good CS going on right now. Oh, however, we do have a Queen of Pain running in. He's got that haste. Looks like they're trying to set something up. Storm way too far forward. Stun, not quite. Onto. And now it looks like we have Cube all over Huntsman, and this might be the factor that changes everything. This hasted Cube doing her job, yes indeedy, and doing not too bad at all. And because of that now, Vacant's going to be just about catching up to Masquerade. Not quite an experience, but at the very least a nice boon for him.
Yeah, that was a really nice double kill from Cube on the Queen of Pain. I'm a little bit surprised to see that Queen of Pain pick up though, because Storm Spirit was still in the pool, and it just feels like Storm Spirit has been a lot more popular as of late than the Queen of Pain. But then Queen of Pain, the burst damage from that hero early game is just insane. And with the blink, having a blink on a hero just makes the ganking so much more efficient than without. But at the same time, like, it feels like Sanki, he hasn't made any rotations just yet, and he's already level 6. And I was kind of looking for Mongolz to be pushing down bottom tier 1.
Oh, now Cube going tit for tat with Sanke, but of course does not want to eat up that Nature's Prophet ult, which just happens to exist right around now. Nice pulls coming out from Team Druckwelle in the top lane as well. Masquerade looks like he can obviously just get within range to soak up a lot of experience, so things aren't panning out exactly how he'd want, but I mean, still doing quite nicely overall as far as these two supports up top, and really giving Corrin pretty much all the space in the world as well.
I don't think Sanki at any point should go for trade with Cube, because sure, you have more right click damage with the face boots, but then there's so much more magical burst on Queen of Pain, and every time they fight, right, Corrin would use the Howl to help out the Queen of Pain, and with that Vlad's pickup, they should be able to take a really fast Roshan. It's only a matter of time before they start going for it. Or Lycano can always pop a smoke and try and solo it after he gets his medallion, which shouldn't be too far.
A little grave chill on Vacant in the bot, but of course no follow-up. And I mean, when you are Nyx Assassin, you need to be a little bit worried. Obviously though, you see Fissure coming a mile away, and a simple spike carapace will usually save you enough. However, we do have Masquerade up top. That is a lot of damage coming out of Dworkit Baby there with that Shadow Wave, and this top lane is panning out exactly how you said. The sleep, the Shadow Waves, and all the wolves. A pretty scary tri-lane overall. However, though, you do have Vacant in the bot, and now, since this is all the way pushed into the tower, Fissure already used, though, he's got to feel fairly safe here. At the very least, he can just kind of soak up experience, see whatever he can do. Gets a nice stun on player. Looks like we have a rotation coming out of Sanke as well. Queen of Pain shows up, but of course realizes things are just a little bit too hot to handle right now, and decides to actually get out of basically harm's way right now. Storm just waiting in the wings, seeing if he can't find a nice fissure block for his troubles. Vacant though getting closer and closer to Vendetta, and right now with no amount, actually they do have detection on Visage already. They could still get a kill even if he gets that Vendetta up, but not too sure it's going to pan out exactly the way they want. And as that's happening, you have the push coming out from Team Druckwelle up top. Now, ooh, Fissure is there as well. Doesn't really do too much though. Miffy's still able to get out of there, and of course Bristleback not wanting to get in there and get his hands that dirty.
Yeah, so that was a favorable trade for Team Druckwelle. And Druckwelle has to realize that they need to get the mid-game momentum going, simply because there should be 2 hands of Midas soon for the Mongols. There's already one on Tiny, and Nature's Prophet, there's no reason why you would ever skip the Midas. It's just so good on the hero. Because you're always going to be farming, and you're only really going to pop in and out from team fights with the teleport, so there's no need to focus on that.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the tier 1 still stands for Druckwelle. And that's part of the power of the Nyx Assassin. Having the second highest base regen after Axe. It has like, I think Axe has 3, Nyx Assassin has 2.5 base regen, so that's why this hero has so much sustainability even without items.
Oh yeah, I mean things just seem to pan out quite nicely for Druckwelle. They're up to 3 kills. If we look at the difference in gold right now, they are indeed leading by as little 2,500, but I mean any advantage is an advantage, of course. Experience-wise, only about 1,000, so still, really, that's only maybe 2 kills or a tower and a bit, and that's basically the only difference now. However, they're trying to follow Masquerade, can't quite get a slow or a sleep on him in time, however. And it has left Vacant pretty much enough time to get that 6, now get a little bit of farm, because he has just been pushed out of lane the entire time, and in a bit of trouble, but not too bad now. And it looks like Cube going on to Huntsman, realizes there's a lone support, and that she can just burst them all down. Has regen, though, might be a bit of an overextension, and just cannot find the mana to get another blink. There's the last one, actually can, has just enough, has now double damage as well, doesn't know where Nature's Prophet is going to pop up, and of course, now just seems to be going around in circles, but will be able to get out of there alive, and now with enough mana in that reserve to blink about wherever she wants, that magic stick doing a lot of work. She's just going to rotate back to the mid, see if she can't find a little bit more farm as well. Nice, very nice play out of Cube there.
And I'm pretty surprised that the offlane Masquerade, he didn't stack up the Ancient Camp. Perhaps he felt he was having a good time in the mid lane. But having those Ancients stacked up always benefits a Bristleback. And this Tiny, he's going for like the build that I was speaking of last time we saw Tiny being played. This is the build that I personally see as being the correct build. Because cost, right, increases with your ultimate as well. And that's why when you get to level 8, you should learn a level of grow before you go and complete Avalanche. Yeah, so it's awesome to see that player agrees with me.
Oh yeah, but like, I just want to bring up, like you were saying earlier, that Team Druckwelle, they really do need to start kind of piling on the pressure into this mid game as much as they want, and I mean, with 2 Midases on the field, obviously, for the Mongols, that's pretty much exactly the right play as well. They just need to keep up that pressure, maybe take a couple more towers, make Corrin basically become that annoying, kind of, not unstoppable, but unkillable pusher, who's just such an annoyance. And now a Fiend's Grip goes down, but with no follow-up, looks like a little bit of miscommunication coming out of those 2 right there. And Storm does show up along with Huntsman, but just nobody is obviously fast enough. And Huntsman actually still without any boots at all. Man, Visage is slow.
Yeah, that's why they're giving him the room right now to farm up a little bit. This has been a game that's been fairly taxing on the supports. And it just goes to show having those early tower advantages just helps you gain a little bit more for the supports.
Middle tower is under attack.
You okay, Sneezy?
Yeah, I don't know why. It just happened. But yeah, so far Tiny's having a good time with 82 last hits and 24 denies. And same goes with Lycan. They're basically even, and I wonder what's flying. There we go. So that's already a Necrobook level 1. He doesn't want the medallion. He just directly wants to get into the pushing. He wants to get into his stride, and that's great as well because, well, he can always do a solos around with the Shadow Priest.
Oh yeah, and for me, that's I think a really nice pickup just overall. Obviously, a smoke right underneath the ward. That's probably going to be completely and utterly fruitless. A little bit unfortunate. Might even be able to turn it around as well if they decide to go all the way into the mid, but we'll see exactly how that pans out. Looks like Roshan always going to be a bit difficult to take for Lycan, but like you were saying, they just don't really need the medallion this early on, obviously, because you always have Lycan there. Obviously, it's going to help take that Rosh that much faster, but with Lycan on your team, you don't necessarily need that medallion right now and to do anything there, so I mean, he's just happy to sit in his lane anyways, and a Necrobook's obviously going to let him take these tier 2s quite quickly and really hurt any single time that the Mongols decide to group up and not deal with Corrin. Corrin's going to be taking a tower.
Oh yeah. That was a lot of time Mongols bought for themselves. Just having that Observer Ward. And yeah, Durka Baby, sorry, the Observer Ward that just died at bottom. That did so much work for them. It wasted about a minute of Team Druckwell's time. The supports, the offlaner, they just go in the jungle, couldn't find anything, and eventually has to go back. While Mongols are like, okay, we know where you guys are. We're just gonna keep up the farming. And that's what they've been doing. Oh, it looks at top. Yeah, so that's not so much damage on Corrin. He's tanked up, and yeah. Both carries are just gonna continue to farm, but the longer this drags out, right, I have to favor the Mongols in the long run.
Yeah, just what? Ag's Tiny is just too terrifying to really say anything about. And now, knowing that the Trents aren't there, actually just goes straight in for the Roche. A little bit of a cheeky play, obviously, but with pretty much just normal boots on Huntsman, Sonke doesn't really have anything too scary. And if you always have Dwarkit Baby there, this is going to be completely free and nice. Almost, well, obviously it's uncontested, but it doesn't even seem like the Mongols realize it. And Corrin, this is just some nice crisp play there, realizes that he needs to get out of top. Maybe Tiny's a little bit too much for him right at the bat, and just rotates right into the Roshan. Gets it very easily. The Familiar's now scouting it out, doesn't matter of course, and the Trents as well, and just doesn't even care. And now with Necro 2, the push is just going to come online so quickly for Team Druckwelle.
Oh,
Fiend's Grip up top, that buys them all the time they need for every TP to get there. And now Player just in a heap of trouble. Vacant popping the spike just in case he gets at least one stun away, but it's not going to happen. And now Corrin just rotates to the lane where he doesn't think anybody is, and of course, now he's going to be fine to push into this tower, and as long as his team can buy him some more time, I mean, this is almost a Necro 3 at 16 minutes. He'll probably have it by 17 minutes. And that is just going to be so difficult for every single person on the Mongols to deal with. Earthshaker, if he kills it, that's literally 2/3 of his HP gone. Even someone like Bristleback, who you think is quite tanky, that's 600 pure damage that would go his way, and for somebody who does have AoE, that's a very real possibility for him killing it. That's a lot, it's almost half of his HP, or it's more than half, and these supports just would not be able to deal with it. Even Tiny would take a huge chunk just from that.
Oh yeah, and it looks like Earthshaker had problems holding down the bot tower by himself, like completely mana burned out, and down to so little HP. Engaging at mid as well.
Oh yeah, Huntsman, there's just nothing he can do. 4 heroes on top of him. Team Druckwelle commanding this, commanding this kill score over the Mongols, and I don't even think I've seen a shallow grave yet. It just seems like the Mongols cannot find their pickoffs. They cannot find their play. Sonke needs to be so careful here. Simple little TP in, or blink in from Cube along with that blink, or with that double damage. Going to be way too much for him to handle. And there it is, Corrin. Now he's got Necro 2. Not even Tiny can really deal with him right now. Obviously Necro on cooldown, but it's just so difficult for him to really do anything because that 500 damage nuke, that just took away most of his HP, and now Corrin all over him. Let's see if there is a follow-up. Instantly gets Craggy exteriored. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to actually polish him off, although Player now just enough. Can he get away? He now has enough for a toss that will stall long enough, and no TP coming out of Nature's Prophet, but as that's happening, Druckwelle just cleaning up the mid. Doesn't look like Nature's Prophet quite knew where to go, and instead is going to be just trying to counter push as best he can, but Team Druckwelle, with the money defense coming out of them, it doesn't look like Mongols can find any opening right now.
Yeah, and it's crazy. With 17 minutes in the game, and Mongols have yet to get a kill for themselves. But it feels like this is the kind of snowball that Druckwelle is looking for. They're getting the space, they're getting the opening. And Tiny being the hero it doesn't have the innate sustain. So every time he trades harassment, he just has to go back. Or he has to ferry salves across. But he's also not too far from the Aghanim Scepter, and perhaps that's the key item that Mongolz is looking for. But I don't think it's enough. I really don't.
Right in front of Storm, puts him to sleep. Storm not paying attention, a little bit asleep at the wheel there, and Miffy able to just put him to sleep, run right away. and get a ward down. Man.
Mongolz right now, what they need to do, apart from farming, they need to get the levels up on that Earthshaker. He's gonna be the key to their defense. Because you can, even without the Blink Dagger, there's always the Tiny Toss. And that's a combo that they have to pull off. When you have all the units, all the creep wave pushing the tower, a toss into Echo Slam into everything else that follows up. That's the big engagement that Mongolz have to look for. And that's also the engagement they absolutely need to get back into the game. Yeah, so as you can see, Sunky, he just wants to split push, but any one hero from Team Druckwelle can just rotate and stop him completely.
Top tower is under attack.
Oh yeah, and now Corrin, he's got that Necro 3, he's still got his Aegis. He can just do whatever he wants, and now it looks like we have the rest of Team Druckwelle just streaming down the mid. Miffy, though, way too far forward, but with no stun coming. That Fiend's Grip going to be doing quite a bit of work. Nice stun on 2 out of them, but that Soul Assumption can into Miffy's head. Can't do too much. Now Dwarkit Baby in a heap of trouble. That engagement just not going the way of Team Druckwelle, and going to be pretty amazed. No, a nice fissure on 2. Dwarkit Baby now in a bit of trouble. There's that toss you just mentioned. Cube barely able to get out of there. Needs to run for his life, but pops a regen, so it doesn't look like any amount of Nature's Prophet rotation is going to take her down. And as that's happening, though, you always have Corrin knocking on your door, and if nobody gets here quickly, this is going to be an easy tower for him, and just look how fast it drops. Necro 3 didn't even use his wolves there, and boom, he gets a tower. You might have gotten, what, 2 kills, but Corrin's getting tier 2s.
Oh, okay, so instantly Nature's Prophet has a Necro book as well. Necro 3 right away. Once again, look at Tiny. After that engagement, he's forced to go back into the base to regen again. But eventually, he should have roughly a 22 minute, 23 minute Aghanim Scepter. And with that online, plus the Nature's Prophet with the Necro Book 3, it's something to look forward to. And they should be starting to take a little bit more engagement.
Bottom tower is under attack.
EB also completed the mech. But things are not looking too bad for them.
No, Dwarkit Baby trying to stall this tower as much as possible, maybe get a deny, can't quite find it, eating a lot of damage from those Necro units and Treants, but able to obviously live through it, not too much of a worry for him, and can always shallow grave himself if things get a little bit too hairy. But yeah, doesn't need to worry too much, but like you're saying, the Mongolz, despite being down in kills quite substantially for the most of this game. Not looking too bad overall. A difference in gold is about 8,000 in favor of Team Druckwelle, but it's not the end of the world. Difference in experience, only 5,000. And with Tiny always in your pocket for that late game, and it looks like he probably has his Ags coming, he does indeed. It's just going to get harder and harder to hold up against him, especially with that Earthshaker Tiny Toss combo. And with 4 heroes here, Corrin needs to be so careful. It looks like they have started, but with no follow-up coming at all from the Mongolz. He does pop his ult, maybe unnecessarily, but this tower is just absolutely going to melt to this Tiny now.
Oh yeah. So both sides have great pushing as well as split pushing. And it seems like Corrin has picked up a Boots of Travels to counteract the Nature's Prophet even more. This is a pickup that I feel is 50-50. You can deal with... Basically, you're saying Lycan's going to become a split pusher. And that's great in some sense. Oh,
Masquerade, so absolutely doomed, but a lot of... Or not doomed at all. That mech and the Quills and that Bristleback doing a lot of work. Corrin wants him, though. Can't find the damage. Cube all over him as well. Storm right in the middle of things. Shallow Grave always available. And while that's happening, it looks like you have... Oh, he finally does fall. We now have the rest of Mongolz, or at the very least I should say Visage, getting into the mix of things, but just cannot deal at all with this Necro book at one little bit. While that's happening, though, you do have the rest of Mongolz, though. Of course, just Player and Zonke knocking on the tier 3. Bacon can't do too much here, but I don't know. It looks like you definitely have to come back here. Corrin along. He doesn't have Necro 3 available anymore. It's just gone away, but they are piling on the damage. Still has Howl in 1 seconds. Gotta use it now. Maybe get this tower at the very least. And needs to get out of here, but not without some casualties, it looks like. No Shallow Grave going down. Fiend's Grip, though, onto Tiny. But that's Craig exterior doing a lot of work. Cube trying very hard to take down player. Finally does find him. Huntsman right into the thick of those trees. Corn now turning around, deciding that they can take this fight. Asleep now on Masquerade, and it looks like they've all decided to finally get out of there. They get a tower. They keep their own, although with very, very little life. That could be easily taken down, even through backdoor protection. I think guaranteed by Tiny, maybe by Nature's Prophet with that Necro Book and Trance. But, still though, a lot happening overall, and both teams, their push power is pretty extreme right now, and it's really working out for kind of both of them right now. It feels like neither of them can get an advantage as far as towers are concerned, beyond what already exists, obviously, over the other, simply because you have Nature's Prophet or you have Lycan always knocking on your door.
Well, Team Druckwelle, they could have gotten a Rex just then. What would have happened was, when Tiny was taking a top, if the Nyx Assassin over here, if he blinked and stunned up the Tiny, wow, I don't know how Mongolz would have defended that. Like, they already took so many casualties in that fight, and if the Tiny was removed from that fight completely, then I think that would have been easily been game for Druckwelle.
Many thanks to you.
Well, hasn't obviously happened, and now it just looks like Team Druckwelle waiting around for this Aegis, constantly looking at it, and now with a wolf just waiting in the wings and making sure that Roshan doesn't take too long to spawn. It looks like that's exactly what they're waiting for. Miffy, though, needs to be so careful. He wants this ward. Looks like he's probably going to pay for it. Almost dies. 1 hit, 2 hit. Where's the sleep? Puts him to sleep, but of course you have Sanke there just to follow up, and doesn't look like he actually gets the ward down in time. Obviously, if he did, would have been immediately dewarded, I'm sure. And now, with Bane down, looks like the Mongolz, they might be poised quite nicely to take this Rosh of their own.
Right now, it's a very, very risky play if Mongolz wants to go for the Rosh. I still don't think they have what it takes to fight Druckwelle as of now. Aghanim Scepter up on Queen. Wow, this is a really fat Queen of Pain. Orchid, Aghanims, and Ultimate Orb, and still have 2k on top. Probably a Sheepstick, or if we're lucky, Scotty would have been really awesome as well. But no, I'm dreaming. That's not gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
or is it?
No, I don't think so, man. Not at all. Still no blink on Tiny, so Lycan can feel pretty safe in going for this Roshan. The only one with blink on the Mongolz right now. Actually, not even Earthshaker. I thought for sure he'd have it by now, but nobody with blink. So a very easy and safe Rosh coming out here for Corrin. He gets an easy Aegis for his troubles. Dorkid Baby always waiting in the wings to shallow grave him if things get a little out of hand. Corrin maybe taking a little bit too long to actually get that Aegis. Now you have these familiars and the Trents knocking on the front door still. Out of deny range. We do have a blink in, but of course Bacon finds nobody. Player, though, Fiend's Gripted and Orchided getting everything thrown at him way too far forward, and without the rest of his team there to help him, that is just food for Team Druckwelle.
Yeah, when a support Bane Elemental manages to get a Blink Dagger, it just goes to show how scary this game is becoming for the Mongolz. And that Tiny was never going to go Blink Dagger as soon as it's a first position Tiny. Generally, it's just all about that movement speed and right click damage. And yeah, with drums as well as the Yasha, he's moving at 412 movement speed, but it doesn't really matter.
Bacon, nice stun on 2. Cube with a follow-up. Storm needs to get anything off. Can't quite find the mana or the time. It looks like we have buyback immediately from China, but just gets put to sleep. They don't even need to fight him, really. And now Corrin just going right for the racks. I thought for sure he'd just be split pushing into the bot, but no indeed. And now eats a soul assumption, doesn't seem to care, and now they can just retreat back, take whatever they really want, and everybody, oh man, everybody on the Mongolz just gets dealt so much damage by these necro units. It is just it must feel so difficult to be them right now.
Oh man, this Queen of Pain has barely, like he is about 200 gold away from having that.
Oh, he's gonna get, yeah, he's gonna get this lane. That's a scythe right there. This is probably the fattest Queen of Pain I've seen, and this is before 30 minutes. He's got Orchid, he's got Ags, he's got Scythe. I mean, this is the fattest Queen of Pain I've seen in a very long time.
Well, he does have 8 kills, 0 death, and 6 assists.
For all you chubby chasers out there, boom, this Queen of Pain is for you.
More cushion for the pushing.
Oh, exactly. Right? She's BBW now. She's no longer that svelte Queen of Pain that we all know and love. She's getting fat, folks. As we say that, though, it looks like Lycan might actually fall for once, and now will indeed, but it's just the Aegis pop. But he's already used his ult.
Surround.
He is in such a
surround.
heap of trouble. Actually,
What?
teleports to the left of the surround. Doesn't seem to matter. Is gonna fall. Not too sure what he was doing all the way into the Mongolz jungle. Doesn't seem to really care, however, but I don't know. Seems a little bit odd that he popped his ult before the Aegis.
Yeah. See, the problem with Tiny is this hero takes so long to come online, and without a hero like Wisp, it just feels like it takes that much longer because you have no sustain. And Tiny, with the Wisp is your sustain, as well as like
Radiant's
you
top
play
tower
like a
is
Spectre.
under
You just
attack.
farm until the team fights needs you, and then you just pour in. But in this sense, I feel like Sven would have benefited a lot more.
Oh,
they would
Cube.
have done really well.
Trying to do a little bit of work, but ooh, so close to falling to Sanke, and Masquerade is able to just barely get out of there. But that sheepstick from Sanke doing a lot of work, not quite enough, and maybe if he had actually popped his Necro, that would have been a kill, but always trying to be conservative and just save that charge.
Oh yeah.
Dire's middle tower
So if
is
you
under
look
attack.
in terms of last hitting,
Dire's
right?
structures are fortified.
Furion and Tiny, they both have the same amount. It's a close tie. But yeah, but the advantage is still so heavily in favor of Druckwelle. They're just gonna have an easy time pushing.
Oh yeah, I mean, now, how do you think really Druckwelle needs to play this? Do you think Corrin should continue to obviously split push by his lonesome, as long as his team actually knocks on the door or groups up his 4 and takes any fights, takes any kind of 3-on-4s or even 4-on-4s? I feel like Druckwelle's going to come out ahead there, along with Corrin doing his own thing.
That's the beauty of the lineup.
I just don't know if they even need to group up is the thing, right? They just have so much push in this Lycan, and now with him, all they need to do is leave him alone. They can probably defend top all by their lonesome. Vacant, instantly a pig, can't get a stun off in time, and now just melting, but that heal doing a lot of work. Coming out of Dwerk It Baby. Vacant not quite dead yet. Pops the Necros, of course, before he dies. Sanke absolutely getting demolished by that Shadow Wave, and a strong defense coming out of Druckwelle, a successful one as well. And you just cannot deal with Corrin's push. Already one lane of racks down. This is gonna be another one because Earthshaker Tiny not gonna be able to deal with these two heroes by any means. Doesn't quite have a Sheepstick available. Only an Orchid. Uses it on the Illusion. Not too sure what he's doing, but just waiting for that Sheepstick to come back online, and they can just turn this around if they want to. But deciding actually against it. Looks like Corrin doesn't have his ult. He doesn't have his Necro Book at all. Only a couple of wolves available for him, and Cube feeling maybe a little bit too low in HP right now as well.
Yep. Okay, so now that's two-sided racks. That's just the power of Lycan. He just demolishes towers. Did you see how fast that was? Look at it. So you have a Tiny and Nature's Prophet pushing down the top tier 3, and they just couldn't pull it off because there was some great defense coming out of Druckwelle. The Nyx Assassin went in balls deep, but he knew he could trust on his teammate Dwerk Baby to get cast the heals and shallow graves, and that's what happened. That push is stalled. When Mongol's push is stalled, that Lycan, man, he just took away everything. That was good from the Mongolz.
Oh yeah, and obviously Mongolz have an obscene amount of push in their own right, but if Druckwelle can just defend against it, even stall it for a few extra seconds, it just feels like Druckwelle always going to come out on top because you're just going to have Corrin in the thick of things, always in base. He's now got a Reaver, going to be even more difficult to kill. But with that Assault Cuirass and that Necro, not to mention just being Lycan, it's just impossible to kind of out-push him every single time. Even if you have a Tiny, it feels like Mongolz are just always in a heap of trouble now.
Well, they are. Even with the Nature's Prophet, even with the Tiny, they just don't have enough. And this Lycan, he has a heart. He has 3k HP. He doesn't care. He's just gonna go in. Look at these summon units. Oh
look
my
at
God.
the safest range Rax kill I've ever seen. Double Necro, some wolves going in as well. Having to actually force out player to rotate in here, can't do too much. And they can just continue this. This is the thing, is that now that they have grouped up, if they really want to, they can just do this slow siege. They have 2 lanes down. They only need to take this last one, and they don't ever need to commit to any of these fights. They can just double Necro, send them in, throw in some Wolves and a Howl, and that tower is going to fall after a few waves of that, guaranteed.
They can take their sweet time. With two sides down, it's like, yeah, like you said, the stall tactic. But that's not gonna quite work against Nature's Prophet. He should be able to defend at least 1 lane and push it out far enough. What do you think Tiny's going for? Is he gonna go for Daedalus or he's going with BKB? Okay, so even though that's a great item and now he has 2.7k HP, he still, I just feel like he still doesn't have the attack speed to fully utilize what his damage output potential. I really like the all-in Tiny, you know, when you go for Daedalus and Massive Madness.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this isn't the scenario for it. This just can't be right for it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. BKB obviously really good, but with you already have Bane on the opposing side, who has Fiends grip you pretty much every single time he's had the opportunity to. You need to really be looking for those familiars to save their stuns to stop that, because if you don't, there's really not much else on the Mongolz that can deal with it. You have Fissure obviously available, but it just seems to me like Storm always going to be tossed in there, probably going to die to Necros very, very quickly, and now it looks like Team Druckwelle happy to just sit back, maybe farm up a couple big items. Lycan, he's finished off a heart. Looks like they're once again just waiting for this Roche, keeping tabs on it constantly. You now have Cube. Wow, that's a fat Queen of Pain. Has Boots of Travel, Scythe, Orchid, Ags, well on her way to, I want to say, Refresher with this Perseverance. Maybe a Lincoln's, though.
Has to be. No. Why would he need Lincolns?
Right? Why?
For the Furion. But Furion doesn't do enough. It's like if you want to kill the Queen of Pain, you need the entire team to go in. Or at least 3 to 4 heroes to kill him. There's no point. At this stage, he's far enough ahead where he can fully utilize Refresher Orb. That's 2 Hex, 2 Orchid, 2 Sonic Waves, 2 Screams. Wow, that is maximizing your damage output, and that's just... It's so wonderful to see.
Yeah, it just looks like Druckwelle going in for the long haul, going in for the very steady, conservative play right now. They're not wanting to go in, even get close to the Mongolz base right now. Instead, just slowly keeping tabs on Roche, making sure that the Trance and the Summons and the Familiars and what have you coming out of Mongolz aren't able to scout out what they're doing, aren't able to look at the Roche themselves. And with Roshan coming up in about 20 or so seconds, it shouldn't be too long of a time before we see Team Druckwelle knocking on the front door, I should say the top door, of the Mongolz right now.
Yeah, but it's only a matter of time where they go for that all-in push. They're just still waiting for their Roche, and once that's gone, then they'll just apply the pressure. There's no need to stall anymore. This game is in the hands of Druckwelle right now, but if they stall it much longer, eventually it might spin out of control. Because you don't want to have to deal with a fat Tiny as well as a fat Bristleback. Like, Bristleback, I feel like he's been kind of a non-factor in teamfights. It feels like he doesn't feel tank at all. Like, he goes in and he dies. That's pretty much the story of the hero.
Yeah, most definitely. Just doesn't have really the HP right now to sustain anything, and especially if you're the Bristleback, you really do usually think, oh, I can deal with physical damage. If I have my back turned, I can deal with a lot of magic as well, but for how much damage Cube is throwing out right now, it doesn't even feel like that's possible by any means. Cube now keeping tabs on the bot lane with this Invis, maybe looking to see if she can't find a solo pickoff on anybody. Doesn't look like she will be able to, but just trying to make sure, I think, that this doesn't get too far pushed out, and always has Boots of Travel, can always join up with those teammates. As that's happening, looks like Mongolz maybe trying to find her, but never going to be able to, and with that Aegis going the way of Corrin there, there's just nothing that I think the Mongolz can do right now. The 2 Necro 3s coming out of Team Druckwelle, you have Howl, you have Lycan doing his job as well, and even if they pop everything to take him down, 3,200 HP, 30 armor, so they pretty much need to pop everything. It's just not going to pan out. Nice blink by Miffy. Where's that Fissure? They need the Familiars or something coming out now. It looks like BKB Tiny going in. Corrin in a heap of trouble. Actually, Piggin doesn't seem to really care. Cube with the worst Sonic Wave I think I've seen all game. Not the end of the world though, and this fight actually going fairly nicely. However, you have player quite low in HP. Dwork It Baby getting slowed to high hell. Looks like Miffy finally gonna fall as that's happening though. Queen of Pain able to turn everything around, and if this does not shape up a little bit more for Mongolz, this is gonna be GG for sure. Corrin still has Aegis, still can do a lot of work. His cooldown almost available for Shapeshift once again. Dwork It Baby making a lot of work happen. Cube using that cheese, trying to do whatever he can. Nice stun on a Storm. Looks like player has been able to get out of here just in time. The only one dead so far is that Bane, and now Corrin once again a wolf. No stun coming out, and this is, unless there's some mad crazy buybacks coming out of these Mongolz right now, this has got to be GG.
I think the biggest blunder there was the Earthshaker. I didn't quite see what cancelled or the reason why he used the Echo Slam, but the Echo Slam was used before he blinked over, even before that Fissure was casted. So if he got in the big Echo Slam, perhaps they would have won that fight. But that was just a maybe. That was the best bet there, and that just didn't happen. So it was a great game from Druckwelle. Mongolz put up a good fight as well, but ultimately, like an OP.
Oh yeah, and not to mention, I mean, the biggest BBW Queen of Pain I think that we've ever seen in this tournament. So thank you everybody, of course, for tuning in to the ESPL Weekly Series number 8. We're going to be getting into Game 2 of this semifinals as soon as possible between Mongolz and Druckwelle. Don't go anywhere, only about a 5-minute break. I, of course, have been Briefcase bringing this to you, and along with me for this ride, my handsome, my lovely, my co-pilot, Mito.
Yeah, so